the treetop. I dare not stop. How can I prove I exist if I don't talk and 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 listen, I can prove I really have a thoughts and not just from vine to vine. A logic speaking just line to line. Don't drop it. Swinging from vine to vine. Of logic thinking just line to line. Don't drop it. Swinging from vine to vine. Of logic speaking just line to line. Don't drop it. Swinging from vine to vine. Of logic speaking just line to vine. Wait, don't open your mouth unless you got a way out. Who knows what's lurking in the dark? When you speak, they know where you are. Quit calling it out. It's loose on the prowl. Machete minds have failed to cut it down from the treetop holding its ground. Talk is everything. Talk is everything. Of logic, thinking just line to line. Don't drop it, swinging from vine to vine. Of logic, speaking just line to line. Don't drop it, swinging from vine to vine. Of logic, thinking just line to line. Of talk, of talk, of talk, of talk, of talk, of talk, of listen, I can prove I really have a thoughts in that. Just stop putting words in the dark. It's a real nature park. Every man here hunting for his life. Press release might strike from behind in the fight to survive. They are changing our minds. Machete minds, machete minds. Nothing is ours. Talk is everything. Separating the man from the beast. Your talk don't mean a thing if you live in the rich man's world. There's no escaping the rich man's jungle. I'd rather run my head and mouth open in the way of wild tongues and brush fire. Good luck with the empire. Don't speak and shade in the sun. We are light speed children growing fast, ground up straight toward the sun. Voice of our own dominion. Anybody else's tree, I say no more than equal to me. Silence is golden, but their eyes still see. Tangerines cannot peel themselves. That part is very clear. We're an unnatural hybrid fruit. Man made you here. How's a girl to get these seeds out on her own without a thumbs up to open my mind and parse the words wedged in me? Pray they come out tasty. are shaking under me. A record drop is coming, and I see the world a blur on my way down, rolling now into the hands of someone. Oh, feel my flame right open. One for you, 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 one for you. Everybody's chewing on a piece of me sweet. Now I'm approving conversation produce. Whoa, no tangerine has ever escaped that tossed as a handful of skin part. Imagine when the season's cutie learns she doesn't have a heart, just juicy pieces. Poor tangerine, your citrine stories, consumer tested, synthetic flavors, and added color. Tangerine, what are you wearing? Tangerine, what are you reading? Tangerine, what are you thinking? Tangerine, oh, tangerine, tangerine, ah, tangerine, 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 beautiful, beautiful, tangerine, beautiful, beautiful, love it, perfect, tangerine, perfect, beautiful, don't change, tangerine, we can really get somewhere with this, tangerine, wow, you wrote that yourself? Tangerine, beautiful, tangerine, 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 clean off the desk now, tangerine, it's good guys, tangerine, take out the compost. Work, guys. Happy New Year. Ah, Happy New Year. Tangerine. Beautiful. Beautiful. Tangerine. Tangerine.
Welcome to the New York Times newsroom. We are live with Esperanza Spalding. We're thrilled that she's playing new music for us here. I'm Andrew Chow, and I'm going to be taking your audience questions, so please fire away in the comment section. Thank you for coming in today. First, do you want to introduce your group?
Yes! On the Tangerine section, this is Star Busby. Busby. And I actually just met Tavona, so I don't know your last name.
Tavona Miller.
Tavona Miller and Star Busby are glorious ones. And also glorious ones is Matthew Stevens on guitar and Justin Tyson on the drum.
Can you tell us a little bit about these new songs and also that fruit that you're holding?
This is a tangerine, as you may have heard. I can tell you things about it, but I feel like the more I talk about it, the worse off I'll be.
Makes sense. Okay.
No, I will. I want to tell you all about it, but in the meantime.
Sure. This is from Art Fonseca. She says, Esperanza, I'm an aspiring jazz bassist slash singer-songwriter who's been deeply inspired by your music. How did you become so acclimated to playing and singing together so independently?
I still don't feel. You want some?
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't feel very acclimated to it. Would you like some tangerine?
Yes.
Would you like some tangerine?
I got one.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
I don't feel very acclimated to it, but it's what I do, and I practice it regularly. And if you were a student that wanted to get into singing and playing, hi. If you wanted to get into singing and playing, I would just suggest that you practice Bach inventions, because it'll get your system used to hearing two different lines and familiarizing yourself with how they intersect and what they do when they act on each other. I did that a lot, and it helped me become more comfortable and acclimated to singing and playing.
From Carlo, how important has teaching been to your musical career and experience?
Probably me teaching.
Yeah, you teaching.
Right. Well, I think teaching is a good way to figure out what you don't know and what you do know. And teaching opens up a deeper compassion and appreciation for teachers. When we teach, we really appreciate how challenging it is to actually distill an idea into an action plan for a young person or a not-so-young person, to take away into their own space and still have enough charge from the lesson that it can fuel practice and fuel discovery. Because I don't think you can teach anybody something. I think you can help another person see what they're not seeing. And then ultimately the student is the one who takes that home. And someone the other day just said talent is the choices you make. So you give people good choices or more options of choices, and then encourage students, I presume, to go hunt and put those options together in unique ways. And maybe teaching has helped kind of distill that understanding in my own practice. He's on the floor, that's why I keep looking down.
Just down here, it's fine. Isabel asked, do you consider yourself a fusion artist? And if so, how would you describe your particular type of fusion?
I feel like I'm eating a person now, because in the song poem, tangerines are like women in the music industry. So now that I've peeled it and talked about how these poor tangerines are hybrid fruit that are produced and manufactured to be available at the right time of season, now that I'm eating it, I feel really strange. Really strange. So let's not do that anymore. Fusion. What is not fusion? Somebody name one thing that is not a fusion of other components. Any identifiable genre is just a snapshot of a phenomenon or a series of phenomena, and you just happen to catch them at that moment of their morph and evolution or devolution. So yeah, I'm a fusion artist, just like anyone making anything. It's in our blood. You're a fusion. You're a fusion. So to describe the kind of fusion, it's the kind of fusion that happens to come out of me. And beyond that, I don't particularly care to speak about it.
Beautiful. This is from Sylvia. We know you love Brazilian rhythms. Would you ever do an album with just Brazilian-inspired tunes?
No. No.
Okay, awesome. This is
You
from
don't want to know
Danielle.
why? No, I'm just kidding.
From Danielle Washington, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have when creating, and how do you overcome them?
It's the same S word that you deal with. It's exactly the same stuff that we all deal with. You long for permission and the promise that you know enough to be entitled to do what you want to do. And there is no promise, and it's freaking scary. And you can run down the trajectory of like, I'm going to accumulate all the data and backup and like intellectual property that goes into making the kind of thing that I want to make so that it's supported and it has legs that are authorized in the world. And then you might discover that what you're making is just a fusion of everything else but you. And then if you go the other way and you're like, oh, F that, like, life is the thing. I will make whatever comes from the muses through my application. Then nobody in the world knows what the hell you're talking about or what you're doing. And that's, I think, the constant straddle position that any creator is in. And there's confidence issues. Probably us artists couldn't do anything else well, so we kept running on the artistic expression train or alongside it. So all those, self-esteem issues come up and be like, uh-oh, is this all I can do? What about saving the world? That seems to be the concern that most rolls through my mental Rolodex. And from speaking with other friends and creators and musicians, it seems like that's a kind of a common theme of like, how do I have permission to do this, and what am I doing with it, and how dare I, and how dare you, other artists trying their best to make great art. It's not a happy place, but neither is planet Earth for the most part. The cool thing is when you make art, you can turn all your S-y feelings, that's S for the word you can't say when you're streaming, into something that is entertaining and actually produces beauty. So another person who's going like, this place is whack, can go like, oh, I guess it's possible to make beauty out of it, and maybe they'll be more inspired to try to make beauty out of their S word.
Going right into Daniel, what is your favorite thing about Earth?
What? Mm-hmm. That it is. It didn't have to be that way.
Amazing. We had a question if you were interested in pursuing theater at all, theatrical productions. From, I just lost it.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. And then, yeah, I am. It's, yes, I am, damn it. And I just don't want to poop on the craft, like Star has dedicated her life to theater. I don't know much about your history, so I'm sorry. I'm sure you have some connection to it. And it's like when you get a taste for something and nothing's going to satisfy it but experiencing it. But in our realm, everything that you do that satisfies the experience of performance has to happen in front of other people. And yes, I think theater is the ultimate expression of improvisation. And it feels like a facet of the philosophy that runs through jazz. So I do think it's very exciting and close. But then someone like Star, not to single you out, or another theater person might go like, that's not theater. And you know what? I'm sorry. And I am going to do theater. And I just said that it is theater. What we just did is theater. Deal with it. New definition.
Star, do you have any advice for Esperanza about theater? Do you want to say anything?
Yes, teach me. Teacher, please, profess me. Does this look angry?
That's really good angry.
Thank you.
You go a little lower, a little hunch, it's a little deeper. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. Acting is one of those things. Theater in particular, just like what you said, like the same thread that runs through jazz. I'm not a jazz musician. I love jazz music, but I love music. But like the spirit of improvisation and being alive and being present in the space is like what it's about, and that's something you already know. So like you just channel it kind of in a different way. And theater.
And hopefully have some trusted mentors and allies that help you not make a total ass of yourself. Yeah. Community. That's something that, man, people in the performing arts are really fortunate. You kind of inherit these people that you're bound to for long periods of time. And you're all kind of equally vulnerable in the mission. And I think about, like, what do people who, like, bank have? Like, if you're, like, an investment banker, like, who are your... They have community, too.
Different kind of community.
Right. I like our community.
We've got time for a couple more questions, and then we're going to let you get back to playing. This is from Joey. Do you write music for records or live performance? And how do you find a balance between those two mediums?
Oh. I don't write records. I break them. No, I'm sorry. So not cool. I'm sorry. Well, there's no consistent method that I have found for creating anything. The music today, I wrote for today, and I wanted to answer the question, can I compose at the speed that we improvise? The words and the sounds. The answer is no, so far. But I think in general, I know in general, I compose for performance. I compose with the idea of presenting an idea to somebody and living it for the few minutes that the song exists in a live space. And records, hopefully, I want them to be like a document of a sound that happened or of an idea that lived through performance.
Thank you. Last question. This is from Eric. He asks, how can I get my 9-year-old daughter to practice her bass more?
Oh, you can't. You can't. There's no way. I mean, nobody could have made me. Shame, guilt, rewards, punishment, none of it worked. None of it works. The good news is it's okay if you don't, I hope this isn't a lie. I think it's okay if you don't put in like all the hours when you're a little kid, because the kind of focus that you get as you grow older in practice pulls so much more out of your practice time. Like, I think an hour a day practice when you're 8 may not be worth 30 minutes a day practice when you're 12 or 13. And if a young person has an instrument and doesn't feel like practicing, maybe that's not their instrument. Or maybe they need a new teacher. Or, well, I can't say this. Without a point of expression, like if there's not a place that the practicing is going towards, it's really hard to be inspired to practice. So maybe that, in this case, if the young person is like really passionate about music and like wants to play the bass, maybe the problem is there's not a live performance context where you get to feel the benefit of practice, because that'll make you want to practice. If you get to the rehearsal and you're the only one who's weak or can't play the line, you will go home and practice. And once you've experienced the difference between working on something all week and not working on something, I think that kind of naturally compels a young person to want to excel. That's what makes me want to excel. I'm looking for fulfillment in the deep ways, and also just as a sharer. And I think that's why we practice, why we go to shows, why you're watching this live stream. There's the hope that after the experience you'll feel more full than before. So in this context, that was the impetus. Like, we created something to pour into you and pour into each other. And in this particular case, it was untasted. It was a new bottle from the cellar. And yes, I'm talking about wine, talking about my wine. And actually, we're going to pour it for you right now. Okay. So this is, like I said, all of this is untasted, and maybe there wasn't any room in your glass for what we're pouring. Maybe it was full of expectations. So you're welcome to borrow my glass if you want. And you can have some of this too. There's probably not enough for everybody watching, but we'll just give everything we can. Take it from there. Yeah. This is like rehearsal. It's good. It's good. Worth sharing with another. We should do this one on the New York Times live thing. I think it's good enough for public consumption. Now it's time to just relax your mind. I'll be your red wine. Bring your lips to me and sip. Cup your hands around me, I'll keep pouring till you really feel me circulating through you. We toast our fathers and our mothers raising in the sun, and bow our heads to every crushed sun. Blood and tears have poured to bless the vine, narrowly growing on through the dry times. Braid your fingers now into mine, we intertwine, vessels of bliss.